Before we get into this video, I just want to give a quick thanks to everyone that subscribed, everyone that's new, everyone that showed love on my last video. I really appreciate it. Also, I know that I need to get a new mic and I will get one as soon as I get monetized, but work with me, okay? Anyways, let's get to it. Hi, my babies. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about Nikocado Avocado and his big return because I have some things to say. Now, I'm sure all of us have already seen that Nikocado has returned to the internet and he announced that he has dropped 250 pounds. He didn't just announce it, he showed us that he dropped 250 pounds, which is amazing. Good for him. Nick dropped a video where he talks about him losing weight, or not really talks about it, but says that he lost the 250 pounds. And he also let people know that he actually was on a break for the last 2 years and he pre-recorded all of his videos so that he could upload it and make people think that those videos were being recorded in real time. During those 2 years, he says that he took the time to go lose the weight. Now, he hasn't shared how he did that or anything like that, but this is just what he's saying. And, I do think that is really great for him. I think that anyone that has ever struggled with their weight, they know that it's really difficult to lose weight. It's really difficult to wrap your head around that and change your lifestyle. So, I mean, I don't know how he did it. There's so many ways you can lose weight, and there are unhealthy ways to do it too. So, it is what it is. I don't really care about the weight loss. Like, not that I don't care. It's like good for you, but at the same time, this video is not about that. This video has nothing to do with his weight at all. So when I first heard that Nikocado dropped that weight, I was impressed because 250 pounds is a lot of weight for anyone to drop, regardless of how you do it. I'm not thinking like, oh, if you get weight loss surgery, you're cheating, or if you use Ozempic, you're cheating. I don't care. Losing weight is hard regardless if you take a drug, if you get surgery, or if you go to the gym, or maybe a combination of those things. But then I saw the video that he put out and that changed really quickly. I no longer was impressed. And it was because in that video, he just seemed so in character still. And not to say that I care if you're a character online or not, but it is weird to come back with this video and be so condescending to your audience who has given you all of this money and made you rich just to say that everything he did was a social experiment and that he wanted to show that people are like ants. And that is what he says in the video. He says everyone is like ants and he's just watching them. And everyone overconsumes and everyone is just bored with their lives. So they tune into the lives of other people online. And it's like, well, we already knew this information. This is not brand new information.
2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead. This has been the greatest social experiment. So I am the villain because I've made myself one. And you will continue to consume these stories about me year after year after year, for as long as I tell the internet that I am the villain. Stories that permeate and linger and infect the minds of the ants, influence the ants, brainwash the ants.
But credit where credit is due. I think that Nikocado is amazing at marketing. He knows how to market himself. He knows how to play a character online and have people care about him when a lot of people didn't really care about him. Like even before he stopped apparently making his videos, I don't think people cared. I think that the majority of his audience was young people, kids, because it was so fake that you have to be a child to have to sit through this. But it really made me think, who was watching Nick's content before? Who was buying into this clearly overproduced drama performance that he was putting on and thinking that it was real life? When he would put on videos pretending to have these DV fights with his husband, were people really buying that? Were people really thinking, "Oh my gosh, Orlin," who is his husband or was, I don't, I'm confused if they're together or not still, but I'm just gonna say was because I think that they broke up. But Orlin was constantly being abused. I mean, it was fake, right? But he was constantly being yelled at and screamed at, sometimes hit. And, he's done things on camera too. It was just a toxic relationship, or at least, like, if you were to put on what you think a toxic relationship is, then this is probably the end result of that. I guess the biggest issue I had with his video was him saying that everything was just a social experiment. Because if it was, where did the social experiment start and end? Where was the fake performance versus you? Because even if you put on a show and put on a performance and have this character that you built, you still harmed people in real life. You still impacted people in negative ways. And you don't get to just erase everything you've done because you've decided now that you want to change characters. Now, I have seen different theories on what this social experiment was, and I think if people have to guess what it was, you didn't really do a good job. But in my opinion, it wasn't a social experiment, so that's why people are confused and wondering why or what this social experiment is. Now, of course, the main theory is that it was all because he wanted to show how people overconsume everything, how people will believe anything that happens online, and that you can really curate your life to be whatever it is. And that, people are just so involved in other people's dramas that it's easy to lie to them, which is basically what he said. I mean, I don't even think he said it in that many words. This is me like pulling words out for him because he didn't really even explain himself well. But I do believe that's because it's fake and he was just in his villain arc. I think this is the start of his villain arc, which is scary because considering the things he's done, I guess, in his good arc, I don't really want to see the villain part. But this isn't new information for us. There are a number of documentaries out there that talk about social media and the impact that it has on us. There are a number of YouTubers out there that constantly make content that revolves around the impact social media has on us in our lives. And how we are constantly being fed lies. We're constantly being told to buy things, that we need things, that we're not good enough. All of these things just for them to just profit off of us, which is exactly what Nikocado did then. And let me just add that it is incredibly easy to fool people online. 99% of the content that you see is curated. Someone planned it, plotted, schemed. But someone had to take the effort and work to think of what they wanted to do beforehand. Even when we have overly positive videos of people helping other people that are in need, I always think, well, would that person still do that if the camera wasn't there? And maybe they would, but adding the camera there does add a layer that makes it not 100% authentic. Even the action of pulling your camera out to record intimate moments takes that from being 100% real in the moment to then an added layer of you thinking about social media. So it does take away from the authenticity of it. And that's not to say that everyone online is lying, but there will always be a buffer between someone online posting something and who they are 100% at home by themselves. Another theory I've seen is that this was all to show that people are obsessed with watching train wrecks online, that we care so much about other people's lives. And when we see people that are in seemingly worse conditions or environments than us, that we make a mockery of them. And again, this is nothing new. Reality TV has been around forever, and it's kind of the blueprint for train wrecks online. We know that people are nosy, and we know that people also like to see things that are not normal. I mean, TLC's entire existence at this point is showing the train wrecks of the world. I think it's also a little weird to pretend to be someone online that is struggling with something that so many people can relate to and will empathize with you automatically off of, and to profit off of that. Especially when there are real people right now on this platform on YouTube that you can watch today that are in that exact same position, but it's not just for a game. It's not just to one up someone. They are really struggling in their lives. And realistically, I know this is extremely morbid to say, but there are people online that broadcast every part of their life that most likely will not be here next year. And regardless if those people are good people or bad people, they really are struggling with something that is hurting them in the long run. Whereas Nick just kind of dipped into that niche to profit off of it and then leave, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I don't think that automatically is a bad thing. I think that's a bigger conversation to have. But I do think that it's weird for him to come back and then pretend that he did this for a better human understanding, a better human experience understanding, when in reality, you just did it for money. Another theory that I've seen is that Nick did this so that he can show how hard it is for people in larger bodies to be online and how differently that they're treated, which to me makes the least amount of sense, because why would he come online and pretend to be the most obnoxious, nasty, mean person you could think of and then be like, yep, I was treated badly because I'm fat? Maybe you were treated badly because you're an asshole. Like maybe that has something to do with it. Regardless of what the social experiment was, in my opinion, that I believe is 100% correct, but is just my opinion still, Nick needed to transition from his overweight, mean, bully character online, who has a reputation for yelling at people and being in a DV relationship with his husband, into a respected person who is always 2 steps ahead. And again, from a marketing point of view, it is great. It is actually really, really great marketing. One of the hardest things to do as a content creator is to change niches or content without your audience being mad at you. Nick was able to do this in one of the best ways, where he got the most attention on him and will bring in a new audience that wants to know how he lost weight. What did you do? Do you have tips? Do you have anything to share with us? And he's even said previously that that was his plan all along, that he wanted to go into the fitness category, the fitness niche of things after he lost all the weight.
Well, you know, my goal, actually, people laugh about it, but it is my goal. Watch, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna do these mukbangs for another year or two, and then see where I'm at, and then I'm gonna lose weight, and then show everyone how to lose weight doing my thing. And I don't even know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do something with weight loss.
And it does seem that a lot of people now respect him because he's skinny. And for me, that's just not enough. That doesn't erase the harm, the bullying, the racism, all of the things that Nikocado has been accused of in the past. That doesn't just go away because it was a character. Most of us knew it was a character, but you still did those things to people, and it has real life consequences, unfortunately. And I know there will be people who think I'm just a hater because he's rich. And let's be for real, I'm hot and I could make money throwing a tantrum online. I could make money eating 5 packs of ramen noodles with the sauce dripping down my tits. But if it's okay with you, I would prefer not to have to do that to make money online. I'm not really into like self-humiliation. It does nothing for me. I also understand that there are people that prioritize money over everything and will do almost anything for it. People like Nick, which is kind of funny since he's the one looking down at everyone for the never-ending horrors that come with late-stage capitalism, while he's doing this for money.
Papa John's Pizza! Papa John's Pizza!
Sounds to me like he's just another rat in the race, just another ant, as we watch him make his next move for profit as he sells his soul. I don't know, is that evil enough? I don't think it was giving evil. I do need to brush up on my evil villain arc persona because that was not it. There are a lot of people that treat social media like a business or a performance. I don't think that's wrong. I'm neurodivergent and I always say that life is a performance. I had to pretend someone was watching me in order to finish this video, so I get it. But that doesn't give you the right to treat people however you want for your own benefit and outcome. There's also a trend that I'm noticing with influencers who don't have the best reputations, where they will do something that people dislike, or in some cases, it's just straight up illegal, and then say they were just trying to stick it to the media or the people that watch stories online, as Nick said. It's kind of similar to the YouTube prank era, where people would do the most outlandish things as pranks and then say it was all just a social experiment. Sam Pepper, I'm looking at you.
First controversial video happened in 2014 when he uploaded a video titled Fake Hand Arse Pinch Prank, in which he would walk up to women on the streets, ask for directions, and then pinch their buttocks. The YouTuber then came out and said that the video was a social experiment and that it was staged and scripted with actors.
There's actually another creator that recently did this whole I'm doing a social experiment thing. I mean, this just happened within the last few days, and that is Dr. Disrespect. Now, if you don't know who that is, very quickly, Dr. Disrespect was once one of the biggest Twitch streamers, and then he was banned, and no one really knew why he was banned. There was no reason publicly given for 4 years. It was recently reported by a former Twitch employee that he was banned for sexting a minor. The doc, or the two-time as he's also called, not for cheating on his wife with multiple women, although he did do that. I just don't know why he's called the two-time, but he did admit to having inappropriate conversations with minors, just to then later come back and say, oh, I only admitted that because I wanted to stick it to the media. I'm always ahead of you guys. I'm playing 4D chess. What?
You also said the word minor, Cody. I even made sure that word was emphasized in my statement, edited, etc., just to make sure these so-called journalists would pick up on it. And boy, oh boy, did they ever, champs. People want to show the message, release the messages, show the messages. What are we in second grade?
Actually, let me know if you guys want to see a deep dive on the doc and know that situation because it is wild. It makes no sense. He is one of the stupidest people online that I've seen. I mean, he literally is pretending that he purposely was having inappropriate conversations with someone that is under the age of 18, but possibly it's legal because of the state that they're in and the age of consent in their state. And then he admitted it because he wanted to show everyone that he's always ahead of people and that he knew this was going to blow up or something. Like, it is wild. I have never seen such a grown loser in my life. And yes, I know that Nick is not accused of anything on the level of the doc when it comes to minors, and he didn't inappropriately touch women in the name of views, but he has bullied and harassed other creators. He has said the N-word for controversy. He has mocked the Me Too movement when telling a story about him feeling entitled to someone else having sex with him. He literally got online to drag some guy he went on a date with because he would not sleep with him, and Nick felt entitled because he spent money on the date. He then made a comment about the Me Too movement, implying that he didn't want to get Me Too'd, so he didn't do anything beyond that. Nick then continued to harass this man behind the scenes, and as we will see, this is a pattern of his. Like, this is not someone that was just putting on a performance and keeping to himself and just putting out the content that he wanted to put out. He was doing things intentionally to harm other people for his own benefit. The biggest situation that Nick was called out for was his beef with Stephanie Soo. Stephanie used to be a mukbanger. I don't think she does them anymore, but I could be mistaken. I know she does retellings of true crime stories, and she's pretty big in the true crime scene. Now, I'll just give you the quick breakdown of what happened between them, and it's a really in-depth story. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of screenshots, a lot of videos, a lot of everything. So I'm not going to explain everything in depth because I would be here for another hour because I cannot shut up. The main parts of this story is that Stephanie and Nick did a collab with another mukbanger by the name of Choy. Nick was very warm and nice to Stephanie, and she thought that they really connected. Stephanie opened up to Nick about some petty drama with her and another YouTuber in the niche that they're in. And she also shared a traumatic essay experience she had in her own home. She let him know that she doesn't really invite people over to her house and she's really protective over her own space because of that experience. Stephanie thought that her and Nick were becoming good friends, so she did let him over to her house. After that, they met up with Zach and they did their collab. During that collab, Nick kept pressuring Stephanie on camera to expose the other YouTubers she was talking about. Stephanie would not talk any shit about this YouTuber because she never wanted to, but Nick kept pressuring her over and over, and it was very uncomfortable. The following day, they were supposed to do another collab together, but Stephanie didn't want to because of what happened previously. She didn't feel comfortable or confident in herself to tell him how she felt, so she gave him an excuse saying that she was in and out of sleep and that she couldn't make it to the collab that day. Nick was not accepting that answer, and he kept pressuring her to reschedule and to talk to him. He called her 8 times back to back, tried FaceTiming with her, and continued to make her feel uncomfortable by nagging and continuously texting her when she clearly was not wanting to talk to him anymore. Nick then went onto Instagram throwing one of his tantrums, saying he was going to expose people. He also got other YouTubers to mock Stephanie by saying, "I'm just in and out of sleep."
We kind of made an inside joke saying in and out of sleep.
I think Nick even sold merch or said that he was going to sell merch that said in and out of sleep. Right away, Stephanie decided to upload a 45-minute video titled "Why I'm Scared of Nikocado Avocado." In that video, she included a lot of text messages between them, and she showed the text messages of her apologizing over and over and over again for her missing their mukbang collab. She also said that she checked her security cameras from when Nick was at her house because now she felt really uncomfortable and started to question the person that he showed her to be. She said that when she checked the security cameras, she saw that Nikocado was walking around her house at a point when she left to use the bathroom, and he started taking photos. Now, she was paranoid about this because of what previously happened, and again, she is really careful about protecting her home. It is her safe space. Overall, she explained how powerless and scared she felt by Nick, and how he manipulated her to get close to her, just to try to start drama. She compared how she felt with her previous experience with someone not taking no for an answer, not because he did anything similar, but because she felt helpless in both situations and questioned her own self if she was to blame for anything. Nick responded to Stephanie's video with his own video that was like an hour long, and in that video, he defended himself by saying that Stephanie allowed him to take photos of her in her own kitchen in her house when he was there, and that he wasn't hiding himself doing that, and she let him do it. He also said that Stephanie wanted to talk shit, she wanted to be a part of the drama, and he knew that because of a previous conversation that the two of them had, where Stephanie had asked Nick if he wanted to be a part of a documentary series that she wanted to make, where she would talk about the drama that was happening in the mukbang community. Stephanie then responded with another video that was over an hour long, where she debunked all of Nick's evidence and proof and said that he was lying. Stephanie said that she did allow Nick to take one photo in her kitchen of the lighting setup because he was complimenting it and had some questions and asked if he could take a photo. Stephanie did agree to him taking the photo, but she points out that when Nick showed that photo that he took, you can see a lot more than just the lighting setup, but you can also see her security cameras, which, with everything that she's already explained, why would she allow him to take a photo of her security cameras when she's very paranoid about her own safety? She also proved that Nick had been obsessed with her home, her security, and her kitchen specifically, and would talk about it constantly.
First, talk about her house, how jealous, but also happy for her,
But jealous.
Doesn't she have one of those ovens? It's like a 5-layer oven. Who uses that? I don't know. I really want a beautiful kitchen like Stephanie's. Her kitchen is perfect. Just because Stephanie has a beautiful house, which she does. I'm not saying like, oh, Stephanie's. I low-key need that security system. I mean, a cat will walk by and the fire department will come, okay?
And all of what you saw in those videos are prior to him ever being invited into my home.
Stephanie did say that she wanted to make a documentary series about the mukbang community, but she did not want it to be about the drama involved, but instead, she wanted to humanize the people involved in the drama. She wanted to hear everyone's point of view and then hopefully at the end of it, come to some kind of resolution.
I wanted to make this docuseries, and I wanted to highlight not only everything that happened with Shukbang, and including what happened between Veronica and I, but also all of the personal conflicts that were involved. I wanted it to be less drama focused, but more about the personal internal struggles behind all of the decisions that were made. My goal would be that things that need to be talked out can be and would shine a new perspective and light onto all parties involved.
She points out that Nick intentionally left parts of their conversation out of his video to make it seem that Stephanie was all about the drama. But when you looked at the full conversation, which she did show on screen, it's very clear that Stephanie was not wanting to do anything that was dramatic or expose people or anything along that lines, but Nick did. Stephanie also asked Nick to post the video that he has from their collab during this time when he's berating her, because it would show how uncomfortable and how scared she was in that moment. And since the video was recorded in a two-party consent state, he would need her permission to post that video, so she gave him that permission. She also asked him if she could post the security footage of him walking around her home and taking photos because, again, she would need his consent. After that, the drama kind of died down because Nick never responded. He never gave Stephanie permission to post her footage, and he never posted his footage of their mukbang. However, that did not stop the drama between them because Nick continued to harass Stephanie on and off camera. He would make videos talking so much shit about her, sending his mob of little teenagers to go harass her and say that she's a bully and she did all these horrible things. She lied about Nikocado, even though he could have just responded to her last video where everyone agreed that Stephanie at that point was in the right, and it would be up to Nick to disprove everything that Stephanie said, but he never did that. And all he could do was talk shit about her on camera and then tell other YouTubers negative things about her behind the scenes. Also, Choy, who of course was involved with the mukbang and was there and witnessed everything, he is a very private person and he tries to stay out of drama. He even tried to stay out of this drama. He didn't want to have anything to do with it, but because he was involved, he had to speak up. Nick also kind of made Zach speak up because in his own video, he included text messages between him and Zach where they were talking shit about Stephanie before anything even happened. Zach did back Stephanie publicly and said that it was very obvious to him how uncomfortable Stephanie was with Nick's berating of questions on camera. In Zach's statement, he says that he never gave Nick any permission to post the text messages between him and Nick talking about Stephanie, and that Nick even said that this conversation was just going to be between the two of them. He also said that he feels that Nick never liked Stephanie from the beginning and that his entire motive was to get Stephanie to talk shit on camera about this other creator that Nick doesn't like. Part of Zach's statement reads, "As soon as the camera cut on our three-way collab, I immediately asked Nick why he was trying to expose Stephanie and that the T channels would certainly be uploading titles like Nikocado making Stephanie Soo uncomfortable for 5 minutes straight if he were to upload the video minimally edited as he normally does for his mukbangs. He didn't seem to understand why I was taking this position on the video until he watched the footage himself. The next day, I would have been shocked had the collab still happened based on how uncomfortable Nick made Stephanie the night before, so the cancellation came as no surprise to me. By the time Nick asked Stephanie for a reschedule in the group chat, he had already texted me privately that he was going to expose her. This leads me to believe even further that his main priority was simply to expose her all along." Now, let me just reiterate all of that for you. Nick did not like a different creator, and so he reached out to Stephanie to befriend her, to gain her trust, and then to push her to make an exposing video of the creator he didn't like. When Stephanie felt uncomfortable and realized something was wrong and she made her a video, Nick responded by making a video and manipulating text messages from her and Zach to make it look like Stephanie was lying about the whole situation. When Stephanie debunked those claims and made a video with more evidence proving her side of the situation, Nick then began to harass her on and off camera. And when Zach backed up Stephanie's claims publicly, he also then decided to harass Zach to the point where both Stephanie and Zach had to get legal counsel to force Nikocado to stop harassing them. To add on to that, Stephanie was already vulnerable when it came to trusting new people because of the situation she was in before. She opened up to Nick because he intentionally made her think that he was her friend and that he liked her and that they could relate on so many things. Nick would purposely talk about his own paranoia when it came to his own safety in his home and that it took him a long time to trust people. but that he felt so connected to Stephanie. He didn't care about the traumatic situation that she went through and shared with him. He saw an opportunity and he took it. I know I went quickly through the retelling of this story, but I do want you to see this clip of Stephanie when she made her Why I'm Scared of Nikocado video, because I do think it's important for us to understand that for Stephanie, this was not just some petty little drama. This really affected her, and she was very emotional in the retelling of what happened, and you could see how scared she was throughout her entire video.
I'm so nervous because I felt like if I said I'm uncomfortable or I'm scared or why did you do that, he would just get more and more increasingly angry with me. I had this feeling of I just need to do whatever I can to get through tonight and tomorrow, because we have collabs scheduled tomorrow, and just be done with it, because I don't want him to get angry. I don't want him to make a video using these words and trying to say all these things I said about Veronica. I just wanted to get through tonight. And that sounds crazy even to me. Like, me saying that right now, I sound crazy. Stephanie, you are 24. You should have got up and left. But I just couldn't. I was just so scared that I couldn't. Honest, what it felt like, and the only way that I've ever felt like this to any degree in my life prior to Nick was a couple years ago. And I vowed I would never find myself in a position like that ever again, where I felt like no really didn't have a lot of power. And I felt like it didn't matter if I was uncomfortable. That night I was really pushed into a really dark place that I never thought I would be in again. I had a breakdown, and it was unlike any other breakdown I had. It was one where I felt shame, guilt, because I did say I would talk about it, didn't I? I don't know, he said I did, so I must have. And then this shame of, why did you even stay for the third video? Why did you even laugh with him? Why didn't you tell him, no, Nick, I don't want this, no. Why didn't you tell him no? After everything that's happened in the past, I told myself I would never, ever feel like that again. I would never feel like that again. I just didn't want to feel like that ever again.
And remember how I told you that Nick came back and he was giving his villain arc era? And in that video, we can see that he starts it off by wearing this panda mask and then taking it off and revealing himself. That is the same head that Stephanie Soo's husband wears. Her husband is involved with Stephanie's channel but is anonymous and either is off camera or wears that head. Even years later, after that situation, Nick is still mocking Stephanie for, I don't know, what seems to be just because he can. I don't really know why. I don't know if people will ever know the real Nick, but I don't really care. You don't get to hide behind a persona and then dismiss all of your actions and say, oh, I got you all, I fooled you. You really did gain that weight and monetize it. You really were nasty to people. I'm missing where the genius part is supposed to come in. But I do know that people often associate wealth with intelligence, and we really need to stop that. Prime example. Need I say more? Need I? Anyways, those are my thoughts and opinions on this entire situation. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let's continue the conversation. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'm a hater? I mean, if I'm a hater, I'll be that all day. I don't really care. But I do think that I brought up some really valid concerns. But you let me know. And until next time, love you. Bye.